The concept of a herbarium specimen is very simple. Part or all of a pressed dried plant with a label is attached to a piece of paper. Therefore, a herbarium is a library of preserved plants. And is actually a lot more than that. One definition explains it nicely as a timeline with a genetic component. So many biological and evolutionary studies require chemicals and genes, and typically these come from living material. So the remarkable thing is that all the information you can gather from examining the plant in the wild when it's alive, things like opposite or alternate leaves, are the stamens exerted, all of that is also all available from examining the herbarium specimen in a herbarium anywhere in the world. And it's available to anyone. Collections can also include more than just plants, algae, fungi, and lichens too. Our collection includes lichens, and we boast one of the most extensive collections of California lichens out there. The plants don't just walk in the door and tie themselves to archival paper, though. Getting the plants from outside into a herbarium requires a number of different steps. Here's how it's done. For a specimen, and we found a lotus, and we want it to have either fruits or flowers, and this one is flowering right now, so we will collect some plant material. Let's see, I'm going to get a good amount of the stem. Here we go. And then we will take this to our field press and we will press it. Okay, so to create a plant press, which helps dry out the plant, since you want it flat and dry, you will use this, which is a wooden frame, which provides rigidity and the slats let airflow through. Cardboard, which helps evenly distribute pressure. Blotter paper, which is a thick, porous, and really absorbent type of paper that will absorb the moisture from the plant. And some newspaper. And so typically the sandwich goes like this. It's top and bottom are the wooden frame, and then you have some cardboard, and then the blotter paper, as you can see here. Cardboard, blotter, newsprint, and then you take your specimen, and this one is a nice specimen. It has roots, flowers, leaves facing up. And you can see the back of some leaves. And we will just put this in here. The newspaper over it. Add the cardboard. Then add the wooden frame. And then we will cinch it down with straps so that it's nice and tight. We will put it over on the plant dryer here, which has an incandescent bulb, and it will help dry out the specimen. And maybe we'll leave it there about a week before things are ready for mounting.
Mounting a specimen in the herbarium. Step number 1 is to have the prepared cardstock mounting paper. We take a pressed specimen that has been collected in the field. And the first thing we do is to glue the label on, identifying the plant. Okay. Step number 2 is to arrange the specimens on the cardstock mounting paper. Our artistically so that all the parts of the specimen show for people who want to come and examine it. We dip the plant specimens in glue and lay them on the paper. Don't want too much glue on it, so we clean it off a bit. Clean the paper up a bit if there's any glue drops. And now it's mounted. The next step is to cover it with a piece of wax paper because we're preparing it for the press. We put a foam piece on top and we then put it in the press. And once we have a lot of them stacked in the press, we turn the press up to tighten it, and it sits there for approximately 2 weeks pressing. And then after that, it's taken to the herbarium where it's put in the freezer to kill any insects, and from there it's put into the cabinets and ready for researchers. And that's it.
Specimens have been mounted, prepared upstairs. They are then brought down to the herbarium, but before they go into the herbarium, which is supposed to be pest-free, they're placed into a freezer. And wrapped up in plastic bags, and a date's put on, which indicates that they have been in, they can be removed when the specimen's been frozen for about 10 days, which is enough to kill nearly all pests. So this is a typical cabinet from the herbarium. This is part of a compactor system. And the specimens are arranged in alphabetical order by family and by genus. The herbarium has a little over 130,000 specimens now, mostly from the Central Coast region, from Monterey County south to Ventura County. And in addition to the flowering plants, the vascular plants, we also have a large collection of lichens, about 30,000 specimens of lichens. And we also have a collection of mosses, about 2,000 or 3,000. And nearly all of those have been databased. The herbarium is used for all sorts of purposes. It's a documentation of the distribution of plants, the dates when they were collected, ecological conditions. This kind of information is on nearly all labels, and I'll show you one in a moment. You're going to have to edit this in. So we have many collections that also represent those of endangered species. And here's probably the rarest plant on the mainland. This is Gamble's rock cress, and this collection is representative of the last remaining known population on Vandenberg Air Force Base. And as you can see, it's got information about its characteristics, flower color, habit, where it grows, the location, the elevation, the latitude and longitude, which is useful because now it can be mapped, the collector, and the date of the collection. This information is useful in many different regards. This also serves as a documentation for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service that this population existed there on a particular date.
Thank you, Dieter. As Dieter was alluding to, herbaria are very forward-looking and dynamic places, not old-fashioned as some tend to think. In a perfect world, herbaria, their real goal is to acquire one of every kind of plant from everywhere, from all of time. Hundreds of years down the road, we may look into the SBBG collection and see that a certain species has moved north due to climate change, or that some things are flowering earlier, becoming more rare or more common, or that we didn't really know what species lived in a certain area at one time. The possibilities are limitless. We can use them to confirm the identity of a plant, or determine that it's actually a new species, or that something went extinct. Also, the geographic information they provide has become an extremely valuable piece of the database. If you use CalFlora, those points on the map indicating where a plant is found are based on this sort of data. Another thing is providing material for DNA analysis is indispensable for current research. So, we all here love the wild native plants of California, but forests spread far and wide across hundreds and thousands of miles are actually right here, through that door in the basement of the PCC. Without setting foot on any of the Channel Islands, for example, you can see the plants, the actual plants, from a wide time span, all in one place. And with each passing year and support from people like our dedicated volunteers and collectors, it will continue to grow and remain as progressive as ever.